Welcome back to the Cryptocurrently podcast. What was I just saying? What was I just saying yesterday? Right? The Wild West and criminal behavior and the need for security. What were we just talking about yesterday? So Coinbase. Coinbase opens up and says, okay, we're going to be selling Bitcoin Cash, and a whole bunch of money shifts from other cryptocurrencies and other speculators and comes into Bitcoin Cash because it's new, it's now available. There's transaction fees and ease of use that come in as factors, and so Bitcoin Cash surges. And right smack dab in the middle of that, there are allegations of insider trading. Evidently, so Coinbase had to halt transactions on Bitcoin Cash for a little while, and then they resumed. So I think to the layman, this looks like it's over. Nothing more to see here. Listen, this is far from over. If you are accused, if somebody raises an accusation against you for insider trading, that means in a public way, that means that people are looking into it. All right, that is a very serious charge, and in the free world, we take that kind of cheating very seriously, very seriously. And some of the allegations, I'm not going to put it up on charts because this YouTube broadcast is really to direct people to the podcast. It would appear that some of the employees may have shared information because there was a whole lot of buying going on right before Coinbase made the announcement that they're going to be able to offer Bitcoin Cash. So this is exactly what I was talking about. Now, as far as my opinion on Coinbase goes, I like to stick to the old saying as never attribute malevolence to incompetence. Okay, most of the things that go wrong in this world that appear evil, it's just because people we're not as smart as we would like to think we are. All right, people are not very well organized. We're certainly more organized than we were 1,000 years ago, but we got a long way to go. So, if something happened to Coinbase, like if there was misdeeds going on, I believe that if that happens, then Coinbase will have to pay a whole bunch of money, and there will be people who are stricken from the marketplace. Now that's, I didn't even intend to get on this, but this new market, all right, it is making its way into relevance, and it still has a long way to go. But the fact that the Chicago Board of Trade now offers futures contracts on it, well, what that says is, okay, now we recognize you, Bitcoin. We see you as a legitimate thing that the federal government will have its hand in. So if there's crime going on, the federal government will come in and investigate, because we can't have that. Not in a free world, not in a free marketplace. We don't do that. So that's big. If it turns out that there was people doing that, then if there's people who are found guilty, or if people who are charged with something and they make a deal or whatever, then part of that deal will be you can never participate in these markets again. And I've seen that happen to people. I've seen people lose their ability to trade in the market, and I've seen it. I had a friend that was a stockbroker, and when I was a currency trader, I hated stockbrokers. Those guys, that was in the late 90s when the tech bubble was going on. And those guys, they didn't even have to work. You know what I mean? Because people think that they're smart, right? And if they can say, oh, look at me, I'm making all this money in the market. if people make a little bit of money, they're going to feel rich and they're going to feel smart. If people can walk around and say, "Oh, I got to call my stockbroker," it's like people are vain like that. And I had a friend that made a lot of money as a stockbroker, and he did some dirty, and he went to prison. And like, not only was he never allowed to resume his licenses again, he was never allowed to own stock again. All right, now uh, that's a big deal. But if you think about it, there's a lot of insurance policies that involve stock. So I mean, that for him that was a big deal. He was a good dude. He's a nice guy. He was had a wife, kids, loved his family. He made a mistake, and his punishment was you can never come back to this little Garden of Eden over here. So if that happens with Coinbase, then I think that they'll be able to weather it. We're a very fair society, and so as new as this all is, the powers that be, I believe, would take that all into consideration. Okay, all right, everybody, Coinbase, there's no insider trading. All right, you can't tell anybody. You can't even tell your employees. Only the people who have to know are allowed to know, and you have to impress upon them. Like, if you tell anybody about this, if you walk out this door and speak with your lips, or put it out on a tweet, or send it by carrier pigeon, or send up smoke signals, if you tell anybody, there's going to be fines and jail time in your future. So, all that being said, this is everything I was talking about yesterday. The Wild West and banditos, right? And being in this new territory, asking yourself, like, what am I going to see? Am I going to see people making huge mistakes? Coinbase made a mistake, apparently, allegedly, and they closed down trading for a little while on Bitcoin Cash, and then it turns out that some allegations were made about insider trading, and that's wild. And how does this all translate into you and me making money? All right. Well, as I said towards the end of yesterday's podcast, was security, right? The need for security and services to that end. There's going to be a lot of that need. And I wrote a friend of mine who is he's the head of a group of cryptocurrency traders, and he's going to be on the show in about a week. And his name is Brian. And I wrote him yesterday, and I said, hey, look, not for nothing, but you might want to go put a little couple of bucks on Blue. Blue is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be one of the major players in providing this new era of security that we are being forced into because of the emergence of the cryptocurrency market. Right? Whenever there's something new like that, it's the saying goes, necessity is the mother of all invention. All right. Well, what necessity has arisen because of this new cryptocurrency market? Well, security, right? There's thieves. People have hacked into cryptocurrency accounts and just stolen money. God knows where that went. Well, that we're gonna have to bump up our security, and when you put focus on what that does is it sends a message to places like MIT, for example, where those computer engineers and those kind of people who are at the very top of the game, it lets them know, like, hey, you need to start thinking more about this because this is what society needs right now. We need more security in this area. And so the geniuses start thinking like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna figure out some new way to track and monitor and keep tabs on financial transactions as it applies to shenanigans. So there is a new necessity. Blue is, go onto their web. It's just BLUE. If you go on to coinmarketcap.com. Check them out. I write my friend and I say, hey, you should go put a couple of bucks on Blue because they're, in light of what's just gone on at Coinbase and the way that sort of projects to the rest of society, saying, hey, look, we need some security over here. Well, wouldn't you know it, Blue since yesterday is up 157% since yesterday. So that's no small move right there. And still, their market cap and their total supply and their circulating supply. I mean, the numbers are still good. There's still plenty of room in there to grow. But these markets, they run on news. All right. Something bad happens with Coinbase, the need for security arises, Blue skyrockets, right? Coinbase offers Bitcoin Cash. That's the news. Bitcoin Cash skyrockets. News comes in, Coinbase is being accused of insider trading. Not so much, all right? And everything normalizes on the other cryptocurrencies. I'm going to probably repeat this in every single one of my podcasts, probably, because this is the drum I'm banging on. Is people are, YouTubers and podcasters and bloggers and news article writers and all these people on television even, they're all talking about cryptocurrencies like they're stocks, and it drives me nuts when you do that. These are not stocks. There's no price earnings ratios. There's no PE ratios. There's no debt to income ratios, right? There's no quarterly statements. These aren't stocks. They're currencies. And currencies a currency is a representation of a nation, right? The U.S. dollar, it's our currency. It represents our country. Blue, it represents a company, and it's sort of like a stock in that sense, but it's not. It's currency. Like, you can take that currency and you can go buy something else with it. All right, you cannot take a stock in General Electric, take that stock over and go buy stock in Microsoft. You can't do that. You'd have to sell it, turn it into cash, and then go buy it. You know what I mean? But cryptocurrencies, eventually we're going to get to the point to where, like, if you had Blue, you could pay your phone bill with it, right? You could rent a hotel room with it, whatever. So, news. The thing about currencies is they move on news. The volatility is always going to be news. You saw Ripple move, what was it, like 300%? And it was like, what was it, 100% over the course of a day, just on the news that they had hired some PR guy from Facebook, right? Ripple hires some guy from Facebook, thing skyrockets. Coinbase announces they're now offering Bitcoin Cash, skyrockets. It's news, right? News that you could have been in front of had you done your studying, right? You can get in front of it. Give you an idea of this. I'm just going to tell a quick story, and then I'm gonna get you back to your day here. News in the 1980s. There was a couple. Now, so cast your mind. There's no internet. There's no such thing as the internet because Al Gore had not invented it yet, nor had he started making random predictions about polar ice caps. But there's no internet. Everything's telephones and fax machines, and there's no scanners. It's fax machines and telephones. That's how people communicated. Cell phones weren't even. Some people had them, but only like real wealthy people, and they didn't work very well because there weren't very many cell phone towers. There were landline phones and fax machines. So there were these two commodity traders in, I want to say, Georgia, and they were pretty well connected, respected, right? People trusted them, and as much as you can trust a commodity trader. And they were brothers, and they had a brilliant idea one day. So what they did was they bought up a bunch of futures contracts in gold, right? And then once they had secured all of their contracts, what they did is they spent all day, from the moment they woke up, they got up and started making phone calls all over the world. Everybody that they knew that was in trading, and they started saying, "Oh my God, did you hear the news? President Reagan is dead," right? And so they called everybody that they knew, and then those people started calling people that they knew, and then those people started calling the other people that they knew, and everybody was saying, "President Reagan is dead." Because what that does is any time that there's a shift in the U.S. presidency, like, every 4 to 8 years, if we vote somebody else in, or if, God forbid, something ever happens to a United States president, that puts fear into the market as it applies to the dollar. So people pull their money out of the dollar and they put it in to safe havens like precious metals. So they bought up all these futures contracts in golds, long positions. They started a rumor that President Reagan was dead. That rumor literally spread across the planet by midday that day. And the price of gold skyrocketed. And they sold out their positions and made a bucket of money. And by the time that news had reached the other side of the planet and started making its way back, that the lie had been dispelled. And, the White House had responded saying, "No, President Reagan's fine. He's having his breakfast right now." And so everybody calmed down. But that's the thing about currencies. People trade on news, and if you're going to trade these cryptocurrencies properly, it's not a stock, all right? You're not investing, you're speculating. You're trying to be into a position before the news comes out. And you're trying to predict which one of these things has the highest likelihood of having something noteworthy happening to it. And you're hearing there's people on YouTube that are talking, they're showing you the charts and like, "Oh, look at this Fibonacci sequence. I think it's time to buy." It's like, dude, that's the Fibonacci sequence is not going to tell you when China is going to stop allowing the trading of Bitcoin. Remember that in September? Right? The charts won't tell you that. These things trade on news. Coinbase offers Bitcoin Cash. That's news. Blue comes in. There's no security threat. Blue's a security company. That's news. Bang, thing shoots up. So I'll get more into giving you some of my favorite picks. Just wanted to give you that quick little rundown there. And thanks for listening to the podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit share, hit subscribe, hit the bell button, because I'm going to be doing this every day. I'm out.